Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the channel today and welcome to my CT125 look at the bike. I'm going to list 5 things I don't really like about this bike, and you may agree with some or you might not agree with any of them. So we'll get into it in just a moment, and once again thanks very much to all those new guys that have joined the channel, and I think it's a great little bike in general, but there's a few little things that I'm not happy with, and I think I might as well tell you what they are and we can go through them and what I've done in that area to improve on them, and a couple of things really I can't improve on at all, and it's just something we're going to have to live with and ride it out as how things go along. So let's get into it, see what you think about what I have to say, and if you agree or disagree you can always throw it in the comments below and we'll go from there. So once again, let's fire away. Well, I think this would be a pretty easy one as number 5. So number 5 I'm going straight off the bat with would be the tyres. I think these tyres that come with the bike are, you know, just average. They're alright if you're going to be scooting around town or just out on the seal section, but once you get into the paddocks or into the dirt sections, I think they're a bit of a letdown there, and I think you really need a more aggressive off-road style tyre. Although I haven't gone to that yet, it will be something that I do plan to go on probably within the next month or something to that effect, because I have found at times when I've been out in areas where there's mud and slush and stuff like that, I find that they lack grip. And like I said, if you're going to be a person that rides this bike on the sealed road or around town, well, out on the sealed road and through twisties, these tyres handle that terrain really well and you won't have any trouble whatsoever. But once you get out onto hilly country or into areas where there's lots of deep ruts, or you're going through crossings or through areas where you would expect a slight problem with tyres that don't come up to scratch, these are the tyres that are probably going to give you that problem. And the best alternative about these tyres, if you do want to upgrade to better tyres, it's not going to be something that's going to put a big hole in your pocket and you're going to be able to do it on the cheap or not for a big outlay. So you know, you're probably wondering in that case, why haven't I done it? Well, I'm working on other areas of the bike first and then coming to the tyres right at the last moment. So it will happen, it just hasn't happened yet. Well, I suppose you guess number 4 will be listed most likely to be the chain, and if that's the case you'd be correct, because again in that 1200 k's I've had this, I think I've adjusted this chain probably at least I'd say 4 times, and the last time I did the adjustment on this was about maybe 100 kilometres ago, and we're really back to a nice slack one again. In the meantime I bought myself another chain, not up to the expensive version at this stage, but I did buy a 428 heavy duty chain for it this time, and I've got the chain here but I haven't fitted at this stage. So if we look down here, and I'll just swing the camera down, there it is sitting there, and that will go on there shortly. Just haven't got around to that because I've had other work on at the moment, but there's that upgrade chain before I go up to a really good, maybe an X or an O-ring chain. I'm not sure at this stage, but I'm going to try this one first. They reckon this chain is capable of doing 10,000 k's, and I'm not expecting to go that far on it, but I will put it to the test and see if it's much better as far as stretch compared to the stretch this other one does. The one on the bike is a DID chain, but that doesn't mean much, because I did find when I was looking around, for example on eBay, you can buy a DID chain anything from $20 with free postage. So just because you got DID wrote on the chain doesn't mean they're worth anything. So like all things, you can buy good branded name things, and they're very cheap items regardless. So number 3, when I first bought this bike, I was reasonably happy in all areas until I actually come across small inclines, and that was when the trouble first started, and that's when I noticed it lacked a bit of power and the bike dropped anything from 5 to 10 kilometres an hour pretty easy. And then when I got into the dirt sections, I found it was a real hindrance, and it all started straight back into there in the front sprocket area. And sitting behind there was the 14.2 sprocket. So straight after that I went chasing, there's the culprit, 14.2. So I went chasing sprocket. and I managed to get onto a eBay site which sold 13.2 or 13.2 postie sprockets. I ended up picking up one of those for $20, and very easy fit. Just take those covers off there to the side, took her out, and what a remarkable difference that made to the bike. The bike performed really a lot better. It was good on pickup. It ran the hills better. It was really a lot quicker up one particular hill compared to the same hill I'd run with a 14-tooth sprocket. And it was just a whole new bike to ride. But then I had one problem. I just found that I was really fast up that hill. In the 14-tooth form, I found that the bike was a pretty good bike to ride, but it was faster than me. When I went to 13-tooth, I found that the bike was quicker, but in actual fact, I could ride the bike faster than the bike itself. So in other words, I was too fast for the bike. So that left me to number 2, so we'll swing to number 2 now. Okay guys, number 2 on the list is rear shocks and front suspension. Okay, what I found when I went to the 13-tooth front sprocket was I could ride the bike faster. I also found then that I was too fast for the bike, and the suspension was taking a pounding, and any bumps I hit, especially on the front end, threw the bike off course, shook it around, and I was getting shaken around too much on the bike. So this is one of the first bikes I've had where on dirt road I could outride the bike. So there was only one way to do that, in my case, was that I'd have to upgrade the suspension. So to upgrade the suspension, I had to swing over this suspension I'm going to throw in front of you now. Even at this stage, it only arrived a couple of days ago and I haven't fitted it, but the fact is it's going to go on there, and I think it'll be a good upgrade to this bike because, like I mentioned, very rarely I've had a bike where I can outride the bike, but just by putting a $20 13-tooth sprocket on the front, it turned out a bike where I was quite happy with the power and how it rode in all directions, to a fact where I was a little bit disappointed at the fact that I could outride it. And I had clips here running through the forest where I thought I'm too fast for the bike, which sounds a bit silly, but the fact is I was. So now we'll go to a quick look at those shocks, front and rear and the inserts, then we'll go to number 1. Okay guys, this is number 1 on my list of the thing I hate about this bike, and I think everyone will agree with this. Since I've had this bike for a bit over a month, and I've heard it many times on comments on the thing, and other people I spoke to, they all agree on one thing. In Australia this bike cost me $7,800. It's heavily overpriced what it costs whether you buy it here or when you arrive in America or the UK or any other place in the world. You look back at bikes I've bought over the last couple of years, even for a Honda CB500X, new and 19 model plated one and an 18 plated one. I only paid $8,500 for the 18 plate, $8,900 for the 19 plated bike, and even for the 19 plated new CRF 250L, $7,500. So when you look at this bike at $7,800, it's highly overpriced by, I think, by about $1,800. And then when you look at it, a Honda Grand here sells for roughly $4,000 or $4,200, and then the Supercab sells for $7,000, and the little monkey bike $6,500. But the way things go, it's just something you've got to put up with and buy if you want one of these or not. But not much you can do about that, except if you want one, you've got to pay the price and buy it. So there are my 5 things I don't like about the bike, and a couple of them I've improved on myself, and I think the biggest pet peeve you could say of anything would be everyone will agree on one thing: they all hate the price. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed tuning in, taking a look at this, and I'll catch up with you on the next clip.